Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this is the final round of 2024 FIDE Olympiad. And with the black pieces, we have the current reigning world champion Gukesh and against him is a player of spectacular caliber. We have Vladimir Fedoseev, and this is a match of India against Slovenia. So if India wins this game, they win the gold medal. This is the final round, and Gukesh has to show his caliber. He has to be at the top of his level, and he has to push India out of the way towards getting the gold medal, and it has to be done now. So let's see what he does with the black pieces. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Fedoseev ties for d4. We have knight to f6 in the end game, bishop to f4, d5, and just e3, c5, knight to f3. We go into the London system, knight to c6, knight bd2, bishop to g4, and now just c3. And now going for this kind of setup where you're just gonna get bishop here or bishop here, just castle, and it will be fine. I think Kay should have studied it a lot. He loves to play against London game, and he's beaten quite an opponents in the London game. e6 now, and now just going for queen to a4, just going a bit aggressive. But hey, knight to d7, but just bishop to b5. We have queen to c8 defending everything, rook to c1, and just a6, just putting a lot of pressure here. But I mean, then again, you have no actual threat in this position. This line isn't even open yet. Rook is placed very fantastically, but again, the line needs to be open, and now either you trade or you go back. If you don't trade, I mean, you just did all of this for absolutely nothing. The queen is weirdly placed on a4. You will allow b5, and all of those things would not be good. So here just bishop captures, queen captures, and b captures. So queens get traded off the board. And when you want to win in this game with the white pieces, do you think it's a good idea to trade the queens? Well, I don't, but I think Vladimir thinks that he can still win this game. So let's see what Gukesh does in this position to deal with Vladimir, because here just c4 was played. Now just comes f6. F6 might seem like an anti-positional move, but it's absolutely not. The center, you have amazing control over the center. Somewhere along the line, you're just going to get the king here, bishop there, and just get the rooks towards the queen side, because that's where the actual action is going to be happening, because it's a semi-open file. And here just knight to b3 was played, just trying to put some pressure, but now just comes a5. And in this position, you have to be very much careful. What do? There's too much center, and too much pressure in the center. But you know what? People say that it's not good to release the center early on, but we're almost in the middle game. I mean, this is going to be the 14th move, and is it okay to just trade everything and maybe just release the tension in the center? Because sometimes you just have to, because you have to understand that once black castle and gets the rook into the game, your queen side will be very, very weak. Bishop is already eyeing this. If you castle, maybe you just double up on the c file, but these pawns will be automatically weak. And if you don't trade right away from the center, you don't take the initiative, and when you don't take the initiative from the white pieces, the black pieces will conquer you. So you have to understand that you have to be careful here. And the best move was c captures on d5. After c captures, you play knight captures, pawn captures, and everything gets traded off. Maybe a move like d5 is absolutely perfect in this position. Bishop moves back. Now you play bishop d7, castles a3, just trying to push that pawn all the way. And after rook f to b8, trying to go for that, you just play you just double up. Bishop attacks the rook. Rook moves to the center, targeting this pawn, and it's a trade-off, because after bishop captures, rook captures, bishop goes all the way back. You just play rook to d2, and black is going to double up on the b file, trying to go for this, and you can go towards the center and try to go after the a5 pawn. And most likely it's black who's the one who's going to be pushing, because of the bishop pair and the rooks being so active. But I think that was the best that Fedoseev had. Fedoseev in this position went for h3, and it gives Gukesh a little bit of the chance that he needed to be able to win the game. I mean, not directly, but just positionally. And positionally, once you get better, slowly but surely, you're going to win material. Here bishop to f5 was played, and now just comes this king to e2. Not castling, obviously, because castling just I mean, it's much faster way to be able to connect the rooks. a4 now, just pushing the knight back, knight bd2, and now just comes h5. I mean, he's playing on both sides of the board. Normally not a principled idea, but once you're controlling so much space in the center, it's always good to have this kind of position. And today you're going to see actually the face of Gukesh that you have never seen before. How easily a player of even Fedosev's caliber, he's 2692, he's not a weak player, he's almost 2700, he's achieved that rating many times, he's almost a super grandmaster. But you have to understand that even such grandmasters, when they make mistakes positionally, you can get so bad in positions, and get into such bad positions that it's just horrible to even think about coming out of them. A bishop to g3, but now this comes bishop to e7, rook to c3, and king to f7. We have rook gets to c1, trying to go all in here towards trying to create a pass pawn and win the game. But here just rook is to c8. You don't care, because after d captures and e5 that was played in the game, you have c captures, and Gukesh got a trade off. He got the spectacular center, and here Vladimir got the pass pawn. It's not completely losing, but he still has to play it with absolute perfection. He goes for c6. He pushes it all the way. Knight to b6, but now just comes a3. But a3 is not a good move. You have to understand this pawn is weak, and how do you deal with weakness? There is no way that you can actually defend the pawn. Bishop is already slicing this way. This is a weak backwards pawn, and that is going to be attacked. And once it is attacked, you cannot defend it. If you go for a move like knight d3, which seems like a logical choice, once everything gets attacked, I know I cannot defend it, but maybe I can defend it with the knight. Not e4 but d4, opening up the center because king is still there, and most likely the position is going to be absolutely crushing, because here rook to a5 was played by Gukesh. This is a very beautiful move. Not only centralize the rook, but also you're just threatening to go here instead of threatening to going here, and there is no actual way to defend against this. Knight to e1 was played to try and go for knight to d3, and I just told you knight to d3 does not work, but Vladimir thinks that it works. Rook to b5, and in this position you have to be very, very careful. I mean, what do you do? How do you perceive this position? I'm going to ask you to pause the video. There's going to be two pause the video places where I'm going to ask you to pause the video. You can pause the video here, try to find the optimum defense where you can get some chances. Yes, you have misplayed the opening. Yes, you have misplayed the middle game, and yes, you are a little bit worse, but it's Olympiad. Everyone makes mistakes, and if you give your opponent a little bit chance, hopefully he can also make a mistake and you can get a chance to bounce back. So try to find the optimum defense in this position while I give you a couple of seconds. So congratulations to everyone who was able to find this move. It actually took me quite a while to be able to understand this position, because when I analyzed it without the engine, you have to understand that the positionally there is no actual way to defend the b3 pawn, and this does not work. I mean, obviously everyone can see this does not work, but not because of bishop captures. It is because of d4 it doesn't work. But if it's just going away, I don't want my knight to be pinned, and allow that. So the best move in this position is b3. It took me a few minutes to find this move, but it's like when I found it, I was like, yeah, it all makes sense now. Because here after a captures, you play rook captures, and after rook captures, knight captures, you play bishop captures on e3. But after rook to a1, knight to c4 comes. You're attacking that, you're defending that. Your position is absolutely great. So you're not just going to lose one pawn, you're going to be losing two pawns, and it will be mostly a 5 to 4 advantage for Gukesh. And with the pieces being this good and your pieces being tied down like this, I think Fedoseev would have to resign somewhere along the line. But this was the best that he had in this position. He went for knight to d3 in this position. It doesn't work, and I already told you why it doesn't work. d4 in this position, and d4 is such a beautiful move. It's such a class positional move that once you go e captures, and now what do? Now this is pin, by the way. Rook is coming here. There is no actual way to defend this knight, and what are you going to do? You're just losing a piece for no apparent reason. Rook to e8. Gukesh goes for it. Knight to f3 now. Rook to b3, and just I mean this is just a horrible position. So many moves possible here. You cannot even go knight to e1, and this is the beauty of this position, because there is no optimum defense. There is just one move that can maybe set up some sort of trap in this position, which is this rook to d2. You just move the rook out of the pin, and now the same idea with bishop to b3 does not work. If you think you're just winning a piece, it just does not work, simply because if you go for bishop to b4 check now, attacking the rook, attacking this, you have a very, very beautiful trap in this position, which just leads to a draw, which is this beautiful knight to f5, just getting out of everything. You cannot play rook captures, by the way, because simply because of the fact that knight captures would be absolutely fine for me. Positionally I'm just doing a lot better. So let's say you go pawn captures, but now I just get out of everything and I just go knight caps on b4, and I have a pass pawn. Yes, you have two central pass pawns, not pass pawns, but two central pawns, and you're controlling a lot of square space. But this rook suddenly feels like he's trapped, because that pawn is not defended. Bishop is slicing all the way, but again, it's not like the position is going to be a very time opening up anytime soon, and I have a pass pawn you have to deal with. So positionally here it's still a draw, but white is better and white is pushing now, and that's the thing. That's the traps you need to set up to be able to confuse your opponents. But here in this position, I don't think Gukesh would have fallen for that, I mean, honestly. But again, it was the best thing that you could have done. But here in this position, the only move that wins the game on the spot, that gives you a complete piece up, just pause the video, because believe me, once you find it, it's just gonna make your day. Seriously, there's just this one move that wins the game in this position, and that's absolutely spectacular. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is not bishop captures, it's not rook captures, it's not bishop captures on a3. I mean, I've analyzed all these moves and none of them works. There's just one move that works, and that's so insane. Bishop to f8 check, just opening up an attack towards the rook, and there is no way that you can do anything now. You don't have to threaten anything with the bishop going towards this diagonal or anything like that, but you just have to move the bishop back. And what do? If you go, you're just much worse. So you go king to d1, but now I just simply pick up the piece and I'm in a completely winning position. I've just won a free piece. I'm a piece up. I mean, you have nothing in this position. Even after having that pass pawn, that pass pawn is going to be captured anytime soon. I'm controlling the queening square. I mean, this is just lost here. But after rook to b3, worst things kept on happening. Knight f2, knight f to e1 was played, trying to defend against this, still keeping the pin. But now comes bishop to b4 check, opening up an attack towards the king. You cannot go here, by the way. If you go here, then the game is just absolutely lost. So king to f1 was tried, but now this comes bishop captures on e1. Knight captures, but now it opens up an attack towards your rook. So bishop captures on c2, knight captures, and now just t3, and the game is absolutely over. Knight to e3, but rook captures on b2, just grabbing another pawn after all of these things, and now it's just lost. Here just c7 was tried, but just knight to c8, never allowing you, because you don't have a light squared bishop and your position is absolutely lost. h4, but now just rook to a2. Now you're going to gobble up that pawn and the position is going to be absolutely lost. Bishop to f4, rook captures on a3, g3, rook to b3, and pawn push is coming. There is nothing you could do. Knight to c4, still few more moves are played. Knight to d2, rook to b2 attacking the knight. Rook goes to c3, rook to a6, and now just going for this rook to a3 to try and stop the pass pawn, but just rook to c2. And you have to understand, this rook to c2 is amazing move. There is no way you could do anything. I mean, you cannot even go here and try to deflect, but simply because you cover everything here. Rook to e4 was played, but just king to g6, no checks, nothing allowed in this position. And now just king to g2, knight to e7, and now just going for knight to f3, knight to d5. Now I mean, you don't even care about it, because there is no way you could actually protect the queening square, because it's on light square. You would need at least a knight, and knight cannot go anywhere further than this. Knight to c3 was tried, but just knight caps on c7, just grabbing that and just pushing d2, king to e2, rook to e6 check, king to d1, and after rook to b2, it was on this move. On move 48, Vladimir Fedoseev resigned the game. Gukesh got this spectacular victory, and India won the World Cup with a spectacular performance of Gukesh, 9 out of 10. I mean, that's just spectacular. Indian men won the World Cup, and on top of that, Indian women won the World Cup with Divya Deshmukh, the magician, getting 9.5 out of 11. I mean, just spectacular play by India overall. And Gukesh just showed absolute class in this game. Just shows why he's so strong, shows why he's just the world champion, and shows why he's crushing everyone in classical, because he can outplay them all in classical. He may be not that good in smaller time formats, shorter time formats, but here in classical, it's just very difficult to beat him, and he shows it why. He's absolutely amazing, and it was one of the best best news in 2024 that both men and the women have won the World Cup, with a lot of reels coming in from both men and women's side. With the national anthem being played, it was goosebumps, and it was really a joy all along. Yeah, this game was absolutely spectacular, and I wanted to cover the entire series, and now the series is finished. I will be moving on towards more series. Maybe we'll go Capablanca, maybe we'll go Smyslov. There are a lot more series to be covered, a lot more things to be covered, and yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. If you want to stay tuned, just stay with me. We'll be analyzing them all, we'll be learning them all, and we'll be winning them all. We'll be improving our chess, basically. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back very soon, so do stay tuned, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, I absolutely loved showing this game as well.